And now, join us for The Lives We Live.
Take it straight. You know, Michael, it's so great having you over here. I was telling a friend of mine the other day, as a black, to have another black person call me a nigga, it's like cool. I can say that. But as a homosexual, I mean, how do you deal with faggot? Can you say that as a joke with your own friends?
Oh, yeah. You can say that as a joke. It becomes different when somebody else says it, and you handle it very probably the same way that you handle it. You know, it's you either get into a confrontation about it or you just kind of rise above it.
Do you have a lot of confrontation? You know, we've never talked about that. As much as we talk, we've never really talked about that.
No, in different aspects. I mean, I think there was probably more confrontation when I was younger and more confrontation when it doesn't...
Hi, Nan.
Hi. Sorry, I had to put that sweater away. But, you know, Joyce is going to be a little late. She's coming shortly.
Oh, okay. I had told you Michael would come by because he was going to help me with some of the loft plans. He thought he would stop by. And we really have just gotten into something. You know, I told you Michael is gay. And we've talked often, but never really about the specifics of the gay life and what it's like and how society sees it. And we really were just starting to talk about that.
You know, it's a funny thing because Linda and I were talking about that possibility. I mean, my boys have had sleepovers since the time they had been in second grade or so. And last June, I guess, Jimmy must have had his 12th birthday party. And it was 10 boys down the basement, all talking in very sexual tones. I decided, I think it's time to stop the sleepovers because I did not know what connotation it had or where it was going to go. I got frightened and I just decided I don't think I can handle this.
What were you frightened about?
Probably because this is the puberty stage and it's like I know now that this is a crucial time for them to have an object of love, either male or female, and I didn't want it to become male because I have a horrendous fear that my boys or any of the boys would be homosexual. I have never sat down and talked with a man who has openly said that he was homosexual. So,
I've told Michael this.
I think there's a little bit of a flaw in the thinking because boys are going to talk about it whether they're straight or gay, and masturbating or discussing sexuality is really just part of growing up. All of the things probably that are going to make those kinds of decisions for your son were probably happened a long time ago when he was much younger. Discussing it or preventing the knowledge that he's inevitably going to learn isn't really going to...
Oh, I've told them all about homosexuality. They know what that's about. And in fact,
but wait a minute, Nancy, how did you tell them? Because you're petrified.
When they went to camp, because they went to camp.
But what did you say?
They went to sleepaway camp, and I said that there are children who have tendencies, boys especially, who have tendencies to love and want to fondle and touch other boys' bodies. And I said, you don't have to feel that you at any time, if you don't want to, need to succumb to that, or no pressure is on you to do that.
But you're also placing it in a position where he's going to be... victimized by somebody else doing it. I mean,
well,
very
that
much.
was my intention.
But girls, I mean, girls go through it with boys. Boys and girls very frequently go through playing with each other or just kind of having, I don't know, physical exploration with each other. And it really isn't so much sexual as it is sensual. And as far as his having attractions to other men, it isn't something that boys do primarily. Girls. It's okay for girls to go with their arms around each other and to kiss each other and to be friendly and dance with each other at a school dance, but boys can't do that. So it's really kind of a double standard.
Michael, I think what Nancy is saying, maybe to an extreme, I've done something similar. It's not so much in talking to Victor that another boy his age, there might be some exploration of fondling.
No, I'm talking about an older counselor.
Okay, but then you're getting on the verge of either some sort of anyone taking advantage of your child.
That's how I presented it, as taking advantage of my boy.
You had a fear of somebody, of a counselor?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you have a fear of a female counselor having, doing, I mean, that isn't such a homosexual thing. A heterosexual could do, I mean, it seems that you're dealing with a fear that you have as opposed, like, it's like you're borrowing trouble. I mean, you don't really know what would happen in those situations. You're setting up that something terrible could happen. You could also set it up that nothing would happen. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Well, you're saying that he could, that by going to camp, there's the plausibility of his being seduced by a male counselor. Is that your consideration?
There's a possibility.
That possibility does exist, and I think every parent does have that fear, but it's a fear of my child being taken advantage of. Victor is 11.
Yeah.
If one of his teachers or his coach or whatever says, come on, Victor, let's go, and then rapes him and throws him off of a roof, I mean, I have to protect my child in that sense.
Yeah, but you're giving teachers, I mean, it's something that kind of resents the stereotypical thing. I mean, I can say, look, I'm afraid to go on the subway because I'm afraid some black is going to pull a knife on me. What if a white woman did it? Why would you just as afraid? You know what I'm saying? Is that
you're losing my... I was just explaining to my boys that they have no need to succumb to male or female, boy or girl, having no respect for their bodies, that they have to respect their own bodies, and that they have to demand that other people respect their bodies
You
too.
didn't say it. You
And
just were mentioning men, so I
well,
thought
I
you
did
were...
say it under the connotation because we were talking about homosexual, but I have also
But
put that
Nancy,
under
you
the
have some other
context of
thoughts,
girl.
like you think that that it's the mother's fault and that
Oh,
all
I've
and
gone
that kissing
overboard,
and,
probably,
and all of that with your sons, and I disagree with that because I am very affectionate to Victor, and I will say, come here, give your mother
I
a
never
kiss.
demand that my children be any affectionate.
What is it like to grow up homosexual? We'll talk more about that when we continue with The Lives We Live. The true life stories of 3 New York area women. Joyce Spector's an experienced New Yorker. She and her husband share a special partnership in their love and in their business. Joyce balances city life with the simplicity she finds at her country cabin. The most important hours in Linda Terry's life are spent with her son. She's also a graduate student at Columbia and an executive in adoption services. But first, she's Victor's mom. Nancy Tide lives in Westchester with her 4 sons. Facing single parenthood after divorce, she's raising her family while struggling for her own independence. Nancy, Joyce, and Linda shared true and intimate experiences with each other, real conversations touching the lives we live.
Best for them, that's not the best thing. It's probably a pejorative term to use.
It's very hard, but I think most non-mainstream relations. Hi, Joyce. Hello. I brought Michael with me. We were going over some loft things, and I wanted to get here, so I just brought him right up.
How are you?
He's helping with us, and we started talking about homosexuality and the boys, and Michael's gay. And we were just about, I really want to know, Michael, what was your experience? When did you find out that you were gay?
Well, I guess when I was very young, I had fantasies about men. I didn't really exercise any of that or practice any of it. I went to military school for 7 years and really had no kind of relationship there. When I went to college is when I first found out that there was a gay society and gay men, and that it wasn't such a very single. I mean, I felt like a hideous humpback creature for a long time because it was something inside me that I couldn't share with anyone. And then when I found out that there was a society, or that there were other people that had the same feelings, and we're talking about early 60s, 1962, I felt like weights flew off my shoulders, and all of a sudden I could be the human being that I always felt I could be. And that's how I found out. And within that development, I developed, just like, and I mean, you just develop like a normal person. I mean, there's all kinds of fears and upsets and introspection and things that you go through as a gay person as you do as a straight person.
How do people react to you now that I'm assuming all your friends and everybody you know you're a homosexual? How do they react to you?
Well, everybody. I mean, I don't know what everybody means. A lot of people do. I don't really hide the fact, and I don't really find that it's a major consideration with people who love me. I mean, people love you because you're a person, not for your sexual preferences.
That's not always true, though, sad to say. A lot of people, I think, are very
I think Nancy's uncomfortable
Closed-minded.
with it.
about
I have
it.
already said that I'm uncomfortable speaking with Michael. I am uncomfortable. I'm sure there are men that I have come into touch with or contact with before onto speaking terms that I did not know that they were homosexual, but you say openly that you are, and I am therefore, I feel as if you are saying, look at me, I'm proud of the fact that I'm different, and I take offense at that.
But no,
I feel that way.
Okay, well, that's something you have to deal with.
Yes,
I mean,
so it's uncomfortable for me to sit here with
Okay. But my feeling is that I don't really make an issue out of it, but I also don't go around hiding it. It's not really the way I like to live my life, to say I'm one thing, but I'm going to be another thing to Nancy because I know it makes her uncomfortable. It seems that it's something that you're having an uncomfortable situation in your life with. It isn't something that I have an uncomfortable
Well, I
situation
project all kinds of problems onto you. Maybe you don't
Like what?
have living in a society where it's not the main or the norm that men live together or marry together or have relations. And I don't want my children to have to encounter that. Life is difficult enough as far as I'm concerned. And to have added problems, I think it's difficult, and I would hope that they were not to be homosexuals, the possibility exists that they might.
Well, one of the added difficulties in society is shielding people from what you feel is good or bad for them. You seem you're making a good or bad value judgment for your children. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Have you ever been divorced? Or?
I am divorced now.
You are divorced.
And the father is a very dominant figure in their lives.
Then you also realize that you are a minority in a religion in the American Judeo-Christian society. You are a divorced woman. I mean, you are not normal. You know, I'm gay. I'm not normal for you, but I mean, you're a divorced woman. You know what I'm saying?
But Michael, but wait, let me ask you something, because I think one of the things that Nancy and I got into.
Basket, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sorry?
You cannot put that in the same basket at all.
Well, I get that you're not. But what I'm saying is you're looking at homosexuality is like, you know, like that.
Well, that's how I feel about it. I
That's
feel
okay.
that it's a frightening aspect to
Michael,
deal with
I
because I'm
want to
uncomfortable.
ask a question, because what I told you, and it was, I think, a valid point, that the world of homosexuality, or the community, by some people, and I think to a degree yourself, is seen as everyone is the same. And I have come to realize that there is a distinction. I mean, you have raging fags that, to me, I can't stand that, but then I can't stand heterosexual people who are very demonstrative. I mean, I had a couple come to my house and I wanted to say, you know, on the couch, you want to do it already. Leave. I can't stand that, like I can't stand to see two men, or, you know.
That's a good
you
point.
know, but I think there are subcultures within the homosexuality community. Is that the case, the transvestite?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there might be women friends or involved in teaching parent-teachers associations or things like that you really find offensive. I feel that maybe in black situations there are militants, or there's people with political views or social views that you don't really hold. And with them being gay, I mean, whenever there's a gay march or something and I'm involved in it, invariably the press will show two drag queens and say 1,500 people, gays march. Well, I mean, I have considerations about seeing a lot of drag queens, and they're gay. I have prejudices, I guess, within being gay myself. People do tend to lump us all together. People
Michael, I just one thing you said before that was very interesting about hiding it. You don't hide it. I'm completely open about homosexuals. I think it's fine. I also do not have children, so there isn't that added overtone. The one thing about homosexuals that disturbs me is the fact that so-called closet homosexuals, people that do not admit it to the rest of the world, because in terms of my relating with them, I don't know how to deal with them. And many times I have vibes that someone's a homosexual, and they don't reveal it to me, even though that moment comes very close, and it's almost like a fraud. I would much prefer to accept a person for exactly who they are, on the terms that they want to be accepted. For instance, I have a friend, a woman friend, who's married. I'm absolutely sure the man she is married to is a homosexual and has been, as I believe, for his whole life. That disturbs me. That's an area of homosexuality that I can't deal with.
Why? Why do people have to go around telling you their sexual activity?
Because I think that eventually is going to be tremendously destructive to that woman when she realizes it.
Well, you're also putting the burden of discovery on the other person. You have just as much responsibility, if you feel that and you feel the closeness to the person, to confront the situation. What a lot of people expect...
To confront the man?
Or, I mean, I don't look at confrontation as kind of a standoff tongue war. I mean, I feel that if you have questions and if you feel the relationship is valuable to you, and that you have a certain friendship, but you don't feel that it goes beyond a locked door, well, you have the option to discuss it if you want. I mean, a lot of people feel that being gay, or you have to, like, sit around and kind of divulge everything inside you to everybody, and that's how they find out things. I think that's kind of a false premise.
Michael, can I ask you something? Because Victor's father, when we were married, made a statement, and he said of all the things that he could not ever, let's say, forgive Victor for in his adult life, he could accept everything. Murder, drugs, but he could never, ever accept homosexuality. And, like, I was shocked. And I said, do you really mean that?
Yeah.
And he felt so strongly. What was your family's reaction to...
Well, excuse me. Just if I can answer that in two parts. It's not unusual reaction. If Victor and you had a blind child, or if you had a deformed child or something, there's that initial shock at birth, and everybody kind of rallies, and then you kind of decide, well, this is what we've got, and you deal with it, and you learn to love the child, and not that you don't love it, but there's a certain kind of jolt, and you go on because that's kind of a genetic defect, and you kind of overcome that, and the family becomes a unit. In finding out that a child is gay, and I really don't want to make the correlation that they're both illnesses. I think that they're just both differences of opinion. You know, if people had their preference, they would have a child that was heterosexual and had both arms and could see. And, you know, but if you let a parent know that you're gay, a lot of times the parents take it as a personal stigma. It's not a genetic thing.
What did your parents do?
Well, my father was not alive, and my mother, when I discussed it with her, did you know, said, what did I do wrong? Why me? What have I done? What could I have done better? And I said, it really has nothing to do.
You didn't fail me, Mother.
Well, it doesn't really have a lot to do. I mean, it's hard to unwind all that. Most of it happens, I would imagine, or so statistics, or if we knew how it happened, I guess that there would be more of an insight. But the majority of doctors and sociologists feel that it's something that happens very early, in around 2 or 3 or 4.
Did you ever want to date girls?
Oh, yeah. I like women.
I know, but as sexual objects, did you ever attempt to be, quote, straight?
Sure. I mean, I didn't attempt it. I was straight. You know,
You were?
yeah, I mean, you're like saying...
Now, that confuses me. Wait a
Well,
minute, I was with you.
I'm just asking you a question. Were you always gay, in other words? Did you try to be straight and were unhappy that you didn't like it?
Well, when I was all growing up, I mean, I had feelings for men, but I was dating girls, and I was going out and doing what I felt men do, and on the inside of me, the very private inside of me wasn't totally happy with what was going on. But as the older I grew, and I found that I could express my homosexuality, it relieved like a real pressure pocket inside me that was always there, and I could never be comfortable with.
Is there a male or female in a homosexual relationship? Is one more like a woman and one more like a man?
That's really, no, that's misconception.
No, it's just two men equal men.
Yeah. But see, if you can look at it like this, that I guess we're all human beings, so you're allowed to exercise the feminine part of you and the masculine part of you. What a lot of women have felt especially in the last 10 years, is that they're really tired of only exercising that one note, that being a woman, their feminine quality. They want to show aggression, they want to have equal pay, they want to have equal jobs. Men are being able to show a certain softness to their personalities. You don't have to be the bread provider, you don't have to be the macho man, you don't have to be all those things that we expect from men. Well,
Yeah, like the man in my life.
We'll continue with our conversation after these messages.
I'm learning. Well, they're both my friend. Well, so naive.
Yeah, but Michael, you've talked about the spectrum of feelings of men, and the only thing that you say that's a little confusing to me, I have a sensitive man in my life. Jim emotes, he will cry, he will talk to me about issues, and he's not gay. That to me is the extreme.
No, and if I inferred that, then it was faulty. What my inference is that we're all human beings, and we're allowed to exercise both spectrums, our masculine side and our feminine side. Traditionally in America, men are allowed, or it's acceptable for men to operate on their masculine side, but to negate their feminine side, and women have been encouraged to become feminine, but not to exercise their masculine side. What we're seeing now in the last the last 10 years is a crossover. The people are allowed to have totally experience both sides of their feelings. I don't think you have to be gay to be sensitive, and I don't feel that you have to be straight to be non-sensitive. I feel that there are a tremendous amount of non-sensitive gay people and a tremendous amount of non-sensitive straight people. It has to do with being a human being. That was my point. It really has nothing to do with sexuality. It has to do with being aware, being conscious. There are just a lot of unconscious people running around.
I'm not quite sure what it is. I know I missed the beginning of your conversation. I got here late, but I'm not quite sure what it is that's so disturbing to you.
I don't know that it's so disturbing. Yeah, it is disturbing. It's disturbing to me because,
Do you know a lot of
no, I don't
gay
know.
people?
I don't. I just told Michael that he's the only person I've ever sat down and talked with this openly about. Never even acknowledged this topic. Except I talked about my kids. I talked about it with their father, and they call each other to be really angry with each other. They will call each other "you gay twerp" or something like that. I mean,
That seems like
derogatory terms that they will use when they're mad at each other.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask, did you have a strong religious background?
Yes, they're very religious.
Because a lot of fear of homosexuality is deeply seated in
the church.
In the church, and it really comes from such a. It comes from information that was handed to you by your family, and it goes back to your grandparents, and it goes back and back and back. And a lot of the information was based on fear and is quite faulty. I mean, you say I'm the first gay person you sat down and talked with, but you're not, like 12 years old. I mean, you've had a tremendous amount of time to have that to have that discussion with a gay person and you have, I guess, chosen not to, or the opportunity hasn't arisen, sometimes it's just important to have enlightenment, and when someone talks to you about it, it's not as, you know, it's not such a terrible...
I think it's really, like so many other things in this world, it's fear of the unknown. This is a charming, very articulate gentleman here. And you, I mean, it's a pleasure to have you here speaking with us. You're no threat to me. And personally, if I had children, you wouldn't be a threat to them. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the big deal is. I'm a little lost, actually.
Yeah, well, I think to a degree it's Nancy's personal feelings. And I have mixed feelings about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that that I don't have some conflict when I think about my child. I'm not sure what I would do if I opened the door and there stood Victor saying, "Ma, this is my friend I had been writing you about for the last 5 years, and he's my lover." I can't tell you what I would do, yet I do have homosexual friends. I have had conversations where I have said maybe in certain circumstances that I would marry a man who was a homosexual. Now, I can say that for myself, but I'm not sure for the world of perfection, which every parent wants for their child. No, really, Joyce.
Yeah, but
no,
I
I'm
also have to-
sorry.
I mean-
You do want perfection for your children, even when you will accept imperfection for yourself.
I'm talking
it's
about you
interesting.
marrying a homosexual.
Oh.
It's
Well,
interesting
we'll talk about that another time.
that we set up, you set up a perfection bubble. I'm saying, I want the perfect life for my son. Well, the truth is, you know, you can just give the kids a certain amount of tools in life, but I mean, to think, like a lot of parents do, that I can set my child on a chart and kind of watch him go through life, it sets you up totally to be disappointed by your child, because your child will never be what you want them to be, whether it's gay or straight. I mean, I'm not talking about being heterosexual or
Yeah,
not.
but Michael,
So-
every parent wants that. I want my son to always be healthy. Now, that's not real. He's going to be sick at some point in his life.
Yeah.
But I don't sit here and say, I want him to be sick. I want him to be rich. I want him to be well-educated.
Linda, if you want to get real, if Victor came home one day with his boyfriend and said, "I'm gay," Michael, is there anything she could do about it?
Well, remember when you
Not a
probably
damn thing,
you probably
right?
wouldn't love him less. I mean, you don't automatically
No, I
turn
don't
off
take
someone.
the hard line like his father.
You know,
no.
some people like, when my sister got married, she married a Lutheran, and she wasn't Lutheran, and my father said he doesn't have a daughter. Well, hey, wait a minute, she's your daughter. I mean, my father was dealing with it, very upset with himself, but projecting it onto my sister's happiness. I would assume that it's really more important to have the people you love be happy than be what you want them to be